actually online in the Instagram post. In the Instagram post, it said we were going first.
Have it on the agenda.
Oh, amazing. Hey, y'all, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Joe. I use he, him pronouns. I'm part of Bonesaw Cycling Collective. We've got a bunch of amazing folks from Bonesaw and Versus Racing that are going to go through the clinic and talk about the Day Across Minnesota event. The first hour here is going to be more rider-specific information focus. We're going to do Q&A at the end of that for about an hour. Then we're going to swap and actually go through support-specific information from 7 to 8 o'clock, also with Q&A after that as well. So before we go through intros really quickly, can I get a raise of hands from folks here? Who is riding the dam this year? Hell yeah. Woo! And whose is the first time that they're riding the dam? Sick. That is awesome. So with all the information with this, obviously we're actually recording it and we're going to have it available to send out afterwards along with a PowerPoint that we utilized from a clinic we held last year. With all the information given, it's not the right way to do it, it's not the wrong way to do it, it's what works for the individuals that'll be sharing their experience with it. So take it, modify it for what works for y'all, but know that it might not be exactly what's going to be specific for you, but just the best information that we can go through. Make sense? Cool. So I'll have the rest of the folks here introduce themselves.
My name is Jeremy. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm also with Bonesaw.
I'm Tracy. I use she, her. I'm with Versus.
I'm Pelev, they, them, part of Bonesaw.
Julia, she, her. I'm with Versus.
Amazing. Thanks, y'all. So we've got a couple of just top-level topics we're going to go through again. What we ask is that we're going to have time right at the end of going through all of this for questions. So just write down your questions, hold on to them, and we'll have just kind of open format. But we're going to hear from each of the people. So the first thing we wanted to jump into is equipment questions. And one of the things that I would be curious to have all the panelists kind of go through is what is the biggest thing that you've learned or like the most important part of planning for you when you're looking at equipment to ride the dam? And anyone can just jump in. You don't have to go in order.
You need a bike.
Need a bike? That's an important one.
One that you've ridden before, one that you're comfortable on because you're going to spend a lot of time on it.
It's true. So you wouldn't make a bunch of saddle adjustments the day before?
No. Don't borrow your friend's bike the night before and decide to ride that.
I did make saddle adjustments the day before. It was just a bad saddle fit. It was never going to work out no matter what. But that's something to figure out. If your saddle fit doesn't feel good on a 20 to 50 mile ride, it's going to be unbearable during a much longer ride. And eventually you may go numb, which is actually a relief, but then it'll come back and it'll be worse. So highly recommend figuring that out by just trying a bunch of saddles and potentially getting a bike fit. I would say one thing that surprised me last year is I went back and forth between do I want to wear a hydration pack, do I not want to wear a hydration pack. You know, it's a long time to have a lot of weight on you and you want to minimize shoulder and back pain. The last minute, I think I decided at like 10 p.m. I was like, oh, I'm going to wear one because it's like my safety blanket, right? I know I have my hydration handy and I did not regret it, at least for the first, I would say 50 miles because there's so many riders in the beginning, you're kind of all packed in. It was very convenient and it was basically the only way I was getting my calories sometimes. So I was really grateful that I did that and made that last minute switch. But be careful with those last minute switches because they can bite you in the butt too. But that was one thing that surprised me. Yeah, I love a hydration pack. Like I'm just not gonna drink as much if I have to do anything to drink it other than like so if you have one that fits you well and doesn't move around a lot, like I forget it's there. I've never had back pain due to my hydration pack, but I also only have like 1.5 liters, so it's not that heavy, and I try not to put anything else heavy in there to minimize that weight.
What would you all say is like one of the most important things that you feel that you packed on your bike for the dam, the years that you've ridden it?
I think like different clothing for the night and the day, and the temperature difference was huge, and that really surprised me.
It was
I
really
brought
cold.
Yeah, it was super cold overnight, especially coming out of the first checkpoint. Like when it's 5 a.m. you stop and then you're at the bottom of all these valleys and woof. Yeah, it's really nice to have a bunch of extra layers. I had like 2 pairs of gloves, one with fingers, one without, and then 2 pairs of sunglasses. One was Joe's, which was great. Some clear shades for nighttime. Shaded shades for the day.
That's what I was going to say. Is if you can remember, if you're going to be between checkpoints as the sun rises, maybe think about pocketing some shaded lenses so you can switch out, because when that sun comes up, if there's no clouds, it's very bright after you've been riding through the night.
What about you, Jeremy? What was an important piece?
I would say, yeah, thermal sleeves at night, and then sun sleeves during the day. Because while it gets cold at night, it gets hot during the day. It's the middle of August.
And last year we were hitting temperatures around like 40 degrees the Friday night, like 2 in the morning Friday night. So it'll jump from 40 to possibly mid to high 80s. So it's a pretty big swing. And especially for the temps that we've been experiencing this summer so far, it could be really surprising how chilly it will get after the midnight start and you get away from the city heat as well. Julia, I know that you brought your bike with you if you wanted to show off the prop.
Oh yeah, that's my prop. So last year I had a frame bag. I'm lending that out right now, so we'll see if I have a frame bag. Highly recommend a frame bag. It's very aerodynamic. It's just in there. You can fit all your random little bits and bobs in there. But aside from that, feed bag is a pretty common thing people run. Not very aerodynamic, but it's fine. Trace and I both had them last year, and you can just reach in there, and I just had like a Pringles can that I filled with Gardettos and fruit snacks, and I was just reaching in there and eating that the whole time.
It was amazing. I recommend the Gardettos can, like
yeah,
the miniature
like
ones.
The
'Cause
can,
they like perfectly line the inside.
it really
of the
contained
bag.
everything. It was great. But the combination of textures was really unpleasant actually, and I found myself like trying to get just fruit snacks or just Gardettos. But it is good to mix your sweet and salty because you need to, you're going to be having a lot of sugar, and you need to eat something that's not sugar, otherwise you're going to have a bad time, either stomach-wise or just you're going to get sick of it. And then I also have this pump mounted to my frame because I don't want to carry it in my hydration pack because it would be heavy and kind of uncomfortable. So this thing's kind of handy. And then this thing, I don't think a lot of people would run this, but you can fit a lot of stuff in here. So if there's something that like you want to carry just in case, but you probably don't need to access it quickly, this kind of under seat mounted bag is really nice for that.
So we've talked about snacks and hydration. I'm curious, what did each of y'all carry as far as tools and like your repair kit for on-the-road repairs? Or what are you planning on carrying?
I would 100% carry 2 tubes. I carried 2 and I had to use them both, which sucked.
Were you tubeless or tube?
I was tubeless, tire blew off the rim, put in a tube, got a flat, replaced the tube.
That same tire?
Yeah,
Dang.
it was a pain. It was not a fun time.
Yeah, that's not fun.
I was in a bad place mentally.
But how much worse would it have been if you didn't have 2 tubes?
Yeah, I would have walked 20 miles to the next checkpoint or just quit.
Yeah, or hope somebody had a tube that would fit your bike.
Yeah, definitely 2 tubes though is the move, and then restocking at checkpoints. So whoever your support person is should ideally have some spares. It's great. I carried besides that just like a little wrench kit, spare cable, zip ties, great. Had some random like floppy stuff like straps on my bike, which you can always just zip tie those down and like deal with it later. So would strongly recommend carrying just zip ties all the time. Yeah.
I also like to carry the plugs or the bacon strips or something to plug your tires, and keep that handy. Like don't bury that in the bottom of the bag, because if you get a leak, the best thing you can do is get that out quickly and stop the leak fast, so you don't have to like pump a bunch of air in or use the CO2. So I always either keep it in my back pocket if I'm not carrying a lot of food there, or actually found this little like 3D printed carrier that can like hook onto your water bottle cage. So it's like right there, super handy. So you just have to like grab it, you're ready to go. So I think I found that on like Etsy or something, but recommend those if you're interested. Let's see other things. I think, you know, if you do have a support vehicle, some stuff can be carried with them, like extra sealant if you might need to top off on that if you get a leak. What else? What are we missing? Extra chain, chain lube.
Quick link that works for your chain.
Yes.
The way to put it on.
Yeah. And even if you don't know how to use it, like bring all the tools you might need and somebody might help you. But nobody can help you if you don't have the right quick link for your chain.
Yeah.
What other like pro tips do you feel like that once you figured out that you were going to carry it for equipment that unlocked like an aha moment that you weren't thinking about right away, or you learned to carry after riding it of 1 year of the dam?
Well, we have to talk about battery bank. You're going to be out there for a long time, and even if you think your battery for whatever is going to last however long you plan to be out there, you might be out there longer than you plan on being out there, and it might get colder at night and your batteries might die faster. And if you're using like navigation on a computer, that takes a lot more battery than if you're not using navigation. So having a power supply of some sort and the right cables to go with it is good.
Yeah. So I usually I have like a Sodero bag that I keep on the top tube, or a little battery bank that I can just plug my Garmin into. And then in the night hours, you can also switch it to your light if you need to. So I would say if you haven't yet, maybe test out the longevity of your light. The package will say like, oh, 6 hours or 8 hours. When you're moving and it's cold, it's not really that. So I would say if you could test it out. If not, just maybe bring a battery because you don't want to be out there in the dark.
And also, like, I'm going to be bringing multiple headlights, multiple tail lights. Just something might fall off the bike. You might not have your, you know, might be quicker than changing or plugging it in. Just turn on the other light.
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear, so if you could speak up a little bit, it's
Oh.
kind of tough.
Sorry.
There's
It's
also
okay.
empty chairs up here if anyone else is like really challenged to hear.
We aren't sweating that much yet.
Getting there.
No. Anything else on equipment before we start chatting about nutrition and snacks?
Something that was super helpful for me is just knowing exactly where all the stuff on my bike goes. Like I had kind of a similar setup to this. I had a feed bag, actually 2 top tube bags, and then a frame bag. So I knew like one of those top tube bags was all snacks. Feed bag was like battery bank, and then like whatever snacks I was eating at the time. I kind of just did the sprinkle some stuff in there loosely. A little bit gross. I didn't like cleaning that out later, but it worked.
But like it's fine. Like
Yeah.
you can clean it later. In the moment, like don't try to keep stuff clean. Like, oh, I'll just like open my bags of fruit snacks. No, you won't. And then you won't eat them, and then you'll be sad.
Yeah, like when you're sleep deprived and you've ridden 150 miles, the last thing you want to do is have to look for the food you want to eat at that time, or like look for your spare tube or whatever. So like really, for me, just like throughout the whole summer, I was kind of riding with the same equipment setup. So like anytime I needed to use something, I kind of knew exactly where it was. So just took out that like mental toll. Yeah.
One more like tip that I have learned over the years of doing longer races is that if you think of something that you need, just take care of it. Take care of yourself. Like if you're out there and you're riding and you know you're like, oh, I'm starting to get cold. I don't know. Like stop and put on your jacket before you get too cold, or vice versa if you're starting to get hot. Because when you get really tired and mentally fatigued, like you don't want to do anything. Like it's amazing how hard it is to like take off your jacket or stop and feed yourself. Like open a fruit pack. Like if it's not open, like you might not eat it. Like it's amazing what your brain does too when you're that tired. So yeah, like just remember to help yourself and remember to ask for help. Like you know, yeah. And it's hard to like remember to ask for things when you meet your support team, but try to keep a list going. You'll probably forget half of it, but if you remember the other half, you're doing pretty good. So, but yeah, help yourself as best you can.
So let's chat about food and nutrition a little bit. So not only, I would be curious to hear from each of y'all, like what did you eat on the bike? And then what did you eat off the bike, whether you had a support team or you were stopping for a longer period of time? What was your food planning around that?
I had a lot of liquids. Like, I get like an 8-pound jug of maltodextrin powder, and I just dumped a lot of that into my hydration pack. And I don't actually know how much was in there, but I filled it like a third of the way and then with water. And that was really nice because it doesn't taste like anything. Like, drink mix can get on my taste buds after, 12 to 14 hours. So having something like plain water that also has carbs in it, like this is maltodextrin water right now. I didn't have time to eat before this. And it just tastes like water, and it's great. Like, you should also have other stuff like fructose and sugar and whatever. But highly recommend maltodextrin as just a cheap carb that doesn't taste like anything.
I'm a big fan of Uncrustables.
Oh yeah.
They're the best thing I've ever eaten on a bike.
I think on the bike I used a lot of like traditional bike fuel. I found some like gels that I like, and they're just easy. Like when you don't want to eat, it's easy to just like get it over with. And then I think when we would meet at the support stops, that's when I would try to get some more solid food in, like maybe PB&J, dill pickle chips. Those for some reason always sound appealing to me. So maybe try to have like a variety of things that you think always sound good. You'll probably not eat a quarter of it, but having the options is really helpful.
Yeah, second, having a variety of things. For me, it was like a good mix of sweet and savory at all times was great.
Yeah.
So I was mixing like peanut butter pretzels with Nerds gummy clusters. Excellent, would recommend. And then just having like a bunch of random granola bars, like Pop-Tarts. I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna get fatigued on sugar at some point. So having, a combination is key.
And for me, when it came to checkpoints, at each checkpoint, I would try and eat like a bigger meal, kind of like try and stick to a normal-ish schedule. I'm very much a person of habit, so I have the same exact breakfast every day, which is like oatmeal with some dried fruit and like chia seeds and protein powder. So I like had a little bag of that set up for the first checkpoint, and when I got there, they like got it cooking. So I like had a breakfast that was kind of my normal breakfast, and I think that really helped make it feel more like a normal day. I think I'm just having like some of those bigger meals, or at least trying to. Like later in the day, I kind of struggled to eat, so it was more just snacking. But yeah, that helped for me.
That reminded me of one more thing, sorry. Caffeine is something that you're probably going to be interested in at some point during the dam. It's also something you want to be really careful with because that accumulates and that can really cause you some stomach distress. So, keep an eye on how much caffeine you're consuming. If you can hold off on consuming it, through the night and only use it when you really need it the next day, like that's good. Or, if you do need it to get through the night, just keep track of how much you're having. And try to pace yourself a little bit because it can definitely cause some stomach distress.
I was going to say I was Paula's support person last year, and I can tell you that they finished the entire dam pretty much running on egg salad sandwiches the whole ride. It was pretty impressive. Outside of the riding, it was pretty impressive how excited they were about it each time. Have you all ever experienced it where you had a plan for what you were going to eat, and then your stomach just said no, and you had to change halfway through?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think when that has happened to me, it's like when it gets bad, you just have to almost stop eating for a little bit and sip water, let your stomach kind of like reset, start up again, and then slowly put in some calories. But yeah, there's always a point where sugar just sounds terrible, but you also need sugar to run your body to finish the race, so it's challenging.
I got two things Gas X Pepto-Bismol. Highly recommend. Your stomach will get mad, but you can fight back. And Gas X and Pepto-Bismol can save you.
Yeah, the first year that I attempted it, I only brought sugar snacks with me and quickly realized how bad of an idea that was.
Real food's important too.
Yep.
And take advantage of the gas stations. You go by one and something strikes you as something you can eat and get it, eat it.
How did y'all plan to eat? Did you have to plan to eat? Are you naturally always snacking? Or did you have to set reminders?
I took THC gummies, just like a little bit every 8th stop, just to not be baked, but to be a little hungry. And it worked really well. Like I was fully with it, but I was just, eating my little snacks just like the whole time. It was great. It's hard to find the right doses, and if you don't do that, that's fine. But like, it's something to consider.
I like to set a reminder, otherwise I forget, or I don't want to eat. But yeah, I try to eat every 45 minutes, something that's around 100 calories or more. And it turns out every hour.
Hell yeah, brother.
Get it ready.
You remember your train of thought now?
No, actually, that's all. And we're done.
So the other thing with eating that we wanted to jump into and touch on too was checkpoints. So if you're riding supported and you have a support team, what was y'all's interaction at checkpoints? Did you have a plan? Did you not have a plan? Did you nap? Were you F1 pit stop style, where they had a spare snack and a spare bike waiting, and you just cross-mounted that thing and kept going? What was your kind of strategy? No, what was your strategy around the checkpoints while y'all were riding?
Tracy and I rode together, and at the first stop, it was really cold, and it was nighttime, and we were pretty really happy at that point, I think. And we sat maybe a little too long and got a little too cold.
Yeah.
And then it was just really, really hard to get back on the bike. So like, even though it's the middle of the night and you're really tired, maybe minimize that first stop, because that's when your body's like doing the best. And maybe throw a layer on, shortly after stopping to try and keep your body temperature the same. Because I just sat down and just in my kit and got really cold and really tired. I'm gonna do that differently this time.
I just talked with my support people, and they're limiting how long I can stay. So the first checkpoint I can stay 15 minutes, and the next two is 20 minutes. And anything more than that, they're literally throwing me on the bike and pushing me down the road.
I didn't have much of a plan for the checkpoints, and I think that kind of bit me a little bit. It made it really hard to get back on the bike, especially the second and third checkpoints. The first one I was cold, so I was like, I want to get the hell out of here. This sucks. Also kind of going along to what Joe was saying about remembering to eat. I'd put all my snacks in 3 separate bags. It was first checkpoint, second, third. So every time I got to one, would just grab that new bag, and the goal was to have it finished by the time I got to the next one, which is really hard sometimes when your stomach gives you issues. And something that Joe mentioned at one point was just every time your Garmin tells you to turn, take a little bite of something. And that really made it a lot easier for me to just remember and to kind of force myself to be all right, I don't have to eat an entire granola bar right now, but I'll have a little bit.
Yeah. That's a good point too. If you have your if you have a bag set for okay, when I get to checkpoint 2, this is my new bag of food. then your support can like take out your empty wrappers and stuff, and then that's when they catch you with full food items in there. I feel like I get caught, like I was bad, like I didn't eat all my food, and they're like,
Exactly.
you still have 2 granola bars in here that you didn't eat, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, so it helps you kind of be a little more, it helps me be accountable when I know like, okay, I'm supposed to finish what I have in here, so then I can take the next batch. And yeah, just letting your crew know, like, if you have one, what your expectations are, right? Like, do you want them to be tough on you? Do you want them to give you shit? Do you want them to tease you? Like, what kind of dynamic are you looking for? And then like also expect to throw that out the window, because you might be in a totally different mood than you think you're going to be at some point.
Did y'all nap at all? Did you stay awake the entire time? Or did
I
you?
was falling asleep on the bike at one point. I remember telling
An
Tracy,
accidental
like,
nap.
Tracy, I'm gonna fall asleep. And just like, I couldn't think about anything else. I was just like nodding off. And then it went away and I was fine. Not sure what that was about. It was like in the middle of the daytime hours. But that can happen. And what? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You
Yeah, I
actually
just got
slept
really
for an
sleepy.
hour.
Yeah, I was just steering you. You were just...
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could just like, I just have to stay with Tracy. You know, I didn't have to think too much. But I was so tired. But then you'll come back. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, for me it was definitely waves of sleepiness that mostly hit when I was on the bike. I didn't nap at any of the checkpoints, but someone, I don't even know who, brought their little like Theragun massage thing, and that changed my life at checkpoint 3. Especially like the shoulder tightness that I was getting. Amazing. I've like never really used one of those before, so that was a new thing on race day, I guess, but it worked out. On the topic of being sleepy too, I remember at this clinic last year, somebody said that like however you feel, just remember that that's going to change in 20 minutes. And that was super helpful to remember, because there were times when I was like, I could lay down and fall asleep for like 8 hours right now. And just like getting through those like 10 or 15 minutes of like being really sleepy, like it totally does go away. Yeah.
So on the topic of sleepiness and kind of that last structured topic we want to go over before we took questions, knowing when to quit. What's the mental conversations that y'all have had with yourselves during the dam, or just any longer bike ride or gravel event? How do you know when it's the right time?
Tracy was considering quitting. How did you work through that last year?
Yeah, last year I had like an injury leading up to it, and I felt like we were driving out there, and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. And then that first like 5 miles, I was like, Julie, I think I'm gonna have to stop when we get to this first stop. I don't think, you know. And then we finally got there and we got off the bike, and then I was like, you know, I have a snack, and I was like moving around, and then I was like, you know what, I really like the sunrise, and I know that if I can ride through the sunrise, it's like your body just turns on, and it's just like a whole different feeling, and it's a whole different day, and it's a whole different bike ride. So then I committed myself to like, okay, at least make it through sunrise. Our next checkpoint was like, I don't know, 60 some miles. I'm like, you can ride 60 some miles. That's okay. And then it was like, okay, well I did that. Now my next stretch is less miles than that, so I can do that. And I just kept like breaking it down into smaller chunks in my head that seemed achievable. And then, I don't know, we did it.
Yeah, don't think about the end, just think about the next milestone.
Exactly.
And it's just a lot easier. Because you can always quit at the next one. You can always quit at the next gas station, you know? But at some point you do need to think like, am I hurting myself?
Yeah.
And that's how I think about it. Like, am I doing long-term damage?
Yep.
Or does this just like suck a lot right now? And it's hard to know without being like a doctor or a physical therapist. But you can think about it like, oh, do I have like knee pain that's getting progressively worse? It's probably not going to get better. So just be prepared to have to make that decision.
Yeah. I
And
think
have a way to call somebody.
something that's really hard too is the after effect of having to quit a race for whatever reason. And I've really been trying to teach myself to, you know, in the moment, I have to say, okay, there is a reason. This is not an excuse. have an injury. You know, there's nothing I can do about this, and I have to remember that like tomorrow and the next week when I keep looking back and going like, was that in my head? Like, I don't know if any of you ever do that, but you like question yourself and then you start doubting yourself. But I've been really working on like being like resolute in my decision that I made during the race, and that I stick with it. But that's really hard.
Yeah, I think like thinking about the long term was really helpful for me, and just deciding if I should keep riding or not. Like, I want to ride for 50 more years. This is not like the pinnacle achievement of my cycling career. Well, I don't know. Maybe it kind of is. I don't know if I'll ride it again. But like, I don't want to go out on fire and have that be like, oh, like from now on I'm gonna struggle with this injury forever and like do really long-term damage. Like, I've had this knee issue for a while, just like chronic knee injury from a crash a while back, and like that really started kind of flaring up for me at the first checkpoint. So I was texting with Joe. I was like, yo, like I don't know if this keeps getting worse. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to finish. Like, my metric is gonna be if I think I'm damaging my body in the long term. Like, if it's gonna take me months to recover from this, like I should stop. If I think it'll take me 2 weeks, like I'm gonna be out for 2 weeks anyway. It'll be fine. Yeah, and I don't know. That really like changed kind of how I was riding. I wasn't like attacking the hills as much. I was, I don't know, taking it a little like gentler than I might have. And it kind of just plateaued for the rest of the day. And I was like, all right, well, like mentally, it does still suck, but it doesn't feel like I'm gonna like long term hurt my body. Yeah, so that was kind of my metric too.
Yeah, breaking it down, I'm not looking at it as a 240-mile ride. It's 4 60-mile rides that I'm doing. And while I'm on the bike, I'll be breaking it down even further too. It's 10 miles to the next gas station. It's 15 miles to the next checkpoint.
When y'all have been in like tougher mental spots before, is there any exercises, or like even outside of not wanting to ride anymore, just hating life itself, is there any like tricks or ways that you try to get yourself out of that?
I'm always thinking about something else. Like, maybe I should pay more attention to the race, but this is so long that, I don't know, I just go off into whatever land and think about something else. And if you can control that and like think about something happy, that can help. But it really got my mind off of like, you know, my numb ass and my Achilles hurt really bad. You know, on the topic of am I doing long-term damage, my Achilles is still messed up from damn last year. It's a lot better, but like, you know, maybe I should have stopped or applied tape or something. And yeah, KT tape can be really helpful if you, I don't know, I put it on my knees like every time I ride, and it works for me.
Before we open up for questions, anything else to share?
One thing, something that Joe actually loves doing. Whenever we go to an event with Bonesaw, maybe not every time, but a lot of the time, Joe will be like, hey, so during this race, whoever comes out the other side with the most number of selfies with different animals, like, gets ice cream from me. And I sometimes have been like, cool, I'm gonna win it, and try really hard. Other times I like don't actually participate. I think the last one that you offered when I was there was like photos with different bodies of water. And I didn't take a single photo, but every time I passed a body of water, I was like, should I stop? Like, should I do it? It just gave me like a different thing to look forward to and like notice about where I was riding, which felt really nice. I really appreciate like being present when I am riding. And that's hard to do when it feels really monotonous at like 2 p.m. in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota. But yeah, like that was one way that really helped me to be more present and like not hate every moment. Yeah.
I would just add, talk to each other and support each other while you're out there, because it is a lot of hours to have your head down and just kind of like you get in the zone and you're in pain. But if you meet up with someone, you know, say hi and just check in, and it can make, you know, if it makes 5 minutes feel better, that's a win. And I always tell myself, a slow mile is better than no mile. That's like my mantra that I have going on in my head. Like, it's okay if I'm going slow, if I take it easy for a little bit, but I'm moving, and that's what's important.
So I know we covered a couple different topics and it might not be everything in entirety, but just wanted to open up for questions. If you have a question for a specific person or just in general, feel free to raise your hand. We'll call on you, and just anything related to riding the dam or something that we said that you'd like to know more about, anything that way. Feel free. Yep, go ahead.
How many liters of water did you carry? Was it enough or was it too much?
Good question.
So I think there's a couple variables. It depends on how far you're going between stops. It depends on if you're going to do like a mix. So I think I carried 1.5 liters of mix on my back, and then maybe like 2 smaller water bottles of just plain water. I always try to carry plain water because that tastes so good at some point when you can't drink anything else. And that seemed to be generally enough. I would say our last segment was the shortest, so you could carry less. I think at that point I didn't notice. I think it was kind of whatever the support group handed me, and I was like, cool, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd say just kind of try and estimate hours you think between stops, and then kind of extrapolate liters from there.
I think I had a similar amount of water, 1.5 in the hydration pack, and 1 or 2 water bottles.
Yeah, I have the same, except the opposite. I have water in my hydration pack, and then mixed in the water bottles.
I think I carried like 3.5 liters. I don't know. I just get really thirsty. I personally, I'm just scared of being dehydrated and like cramping up and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would carry like a lot, and I think that was good for me. I maybe ended up having 1.5 to 1 liter left over at each checkpoint. But I was like, if I had a really bad mechanical and needed to sit around for an hour to fix it, like I'd probably be happy to have that. Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, the course is really flat. All the climbing's at the end. So carry that extra water for a while, and then, you know, maybe be a bit more conservative with the amount of water you carry at the end. Yeah.
Other questions?
So I've got 2. Where do you get your maltodextrin?
It's called Carbo Gain. I just buy it online. It's, 8-pound tub. And I bought it, I think, at the beginning of this year, and I'm almost done.
And where did you get it?
Oh, I got that on like Amazon. But you can, I think like any sports type store might have it, and it might be called something else, but maltodextrin is, it's a common component of like a lot of drink fixes, and yeah, you can just buy it alone.
And then the second question is, do you guys believe in tubeless?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
Do you give the number 1 reason
Do you
why?
believe in tubeless?
You believe in tubeless?
What was your question?
Can you give the reason why? Like the number 1 reason why you run tubeless?
Well, I just hate having to take my tire off and find where the hole is and make sure there isn't anything else in my tire that's going to immediately puncture the next tube. Because it is demoralizing when you go through it all, you put the new tube in and pump it up, it just pops again because you forgot another piece of glass or something. And then the act of like stabbing a plug into the puncture, I find really therapeutic. Like, just like, this is my problem, and I get to solve it with like violence. Just like, feels good. And it's really fast. Yeah, it's mainly because it's really fast, and you can run lower pressure, you can be more comfortable, yada yada yada. But it's also kind of fun.
I I really suck at keeping my tires at the right pressure, so switching to tubeless meant I got a lot fewer pitch flash, which was amazing.
Okay.
I love that part of it.
Just been having trouble, that's why.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Other questions? Go ahead.
Two-part. So there is 500 registered.
I believe so.
Traditionally, over the years, what has been
What's been the finish rate?
what traditionally what has the finish rate? Two-part question. One, those that actually do it in the 24 hours and become a damn champion. So the second part of that question is what happens if you finish after 24 hours?
Chase, can you
Let's
speak to
start
that?
with how many finish?
What's the average finish rate for the dam?
Well, the number of people who will finish. Of 500, what percentage has traditionally finished?
Yeah. Do you know that off the top of your head, Chase?
Yeah, it's like 70 to 80, depending on which way the wind's blowing.
Okay.
Like last year was the highest finish rate ever.
And you remember how many folks finished?
No, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think it was like 85 or 90%. It was really high.
And then for the number of folks coming in after midnight, usually because the day is so long at that point, a lot of those people know at that point. You know, it might be a couple minutes, but if it's looking like it's a 2 a.m. finish,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's happened a lot previously.
No, I intend to finish.
Oh, yeah.
Because what
Yep.
happens oh, believe me, I'm going to find all kinds of new power at 23 minutes and 58 minutes. I'm going to find all kinds of.
You get the fifth win coming in. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you guys talk about checkpoints, is it actual checkpoints or is it a checkpoint that you work out with your support team?
It's a checkpoint that you work out with your support team. So that you can take 3 checkpoints total throughout the entirety of the course, but there's no official zones that you have to take those you have to take those checkpoints in. So it's what mileage feels good for you.
Follow up. Do people pre-stage stuff if they're like is there kind of in between?
That's a good question. I personally haven't. Have y'all ever dead drop something or put something out there?
No, I think people that don't have support, that you can do it without support because there are gas stations along the route. So you could.
But the first gas station is a long ways.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. That was gonna be my first stop, but when I did a little bit of pre-riding just to see, and I was like, I ran out of water and food before I got to that checkpoint.
Okay.
Question from over here. Yep, go ahead.
My question's about foraging along the way. If you run out of food between towns or something, did any of you stop and get berries or corn or prepare some animal that you caught?
Any experience in that?
No.
I foraged berries on different rides.
But not on this one?
Not on the dam.
Okay, you just ate food that you brought.
Yeah. I mean, if you're confident in identifying stuff, that seems like a great way to get some fresh food.
I think corn would be great.
Yeah, a lot of corn options. Yep, go ahead.
I got 2 questions. First one is, I'm guessing most people are going to just fly into town on Friday afternoon maybe. Is everybody where are people are you getting designated campsites or are you just crashing in the park across the street from the start line?
There is a campground that's behind the Buffalo Ridge Event Center. The name escapes me right now, but we've actually had members of Bonesaw that go in, and again this year they go out there Thursday night. It's better for their planning and their anxiety levels to know that they're out there. They've got the day to kind of take and set all their equipment up and everything that way. Otherwise, I would say the main group of folks, the majority of folks are coming in 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Friday, and then just setting up pretty much on the roads just in front of the event center.
So throw up a tent just to get maybe a little bit of rest right there. Okay.
Yep.
Second question is, I've just recently heard somebody say that they drink pickle juice. Anybody do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because I love pickles, and I'm thinking, when you get that moment where you're like, this whole thing sucks, and I want something I enjoy. At least you can think of
Yeah.
I don't know.
Think
People
about
love it.
pickles.
Yeah.
Pickled brine, yeah.
I had a pickle jar in the cooler at my aid station, so I could eat a pickle or just swig some juice.
Perfect. That's
Very-
kind of what I was thinking
Yeah,
about.
just a small little jar, classic deal.
They also make pickle pops. Basically frozen like the freezy pops, but it's pickle juice.
Staff, and then we're gonna come over here. Go ahead.
Talk to me about dogs. The Bonesaw crew's already heard me ask this question, but they totally freak me out and send me into the red zone. Only when I'm riding my bike. So what's like the pro tip? How many have you seen out there? How do you deal with them?
We got brutally chased by one very friendly, cute little dog.
I
on
was
a climb.
I was shocked because I had a really bad experience in the Northfield area, like in the weeks leading up to the race with a dog, and so I was dreading running into thinking of all these dogs I was going to run into over 242 miles, and we had one little dog chase us and then try to lick us, and that was it. The
Was that the
entire
fat
race.
corgi?
No,
No,
No, that
it
was-
was really small.
That was early.
Yeah.
That's the one that bit Tracy.
The Pyrenees? The Great Pyrenees?
I was like,
Yeah. But you know, some people, yeah, you've probably heard all of the like spray water or.
If you don't think you can outbike the dog, just stop.
Get off your bike.
Yeah, get off your bike because it stops their chase drive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some friends just like stop and pet a dog that had me totally freaking out just because that is what I'm.
Keep
I
the
just
bike
head into that
between you and the
anxiety
dog.
zone.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop. Then I'm not running away from them and they're not like, hey, we're playing.
But it is tough when you're tired to decide what to do.
Speaking for myself, I didn't run into any aggressive dogs. There was a random corgi at like 2 a.m. that was just kind of wandering around. So that was kind of weird, but it didn't seem to even notice that I was there. I kind of wondered if I was hallucinating. Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
You mentioned it was really packed with people for like the first 50 miles. I'm just curious like how many other riders you saw throughout the race and just like how many people to expect to be around you at like I would say like each quarter if possible to answer that even. I don't know.
You'll come across clumps. Like the initial rollout was, how long were we in like a big group? Like at least 20 miles where you're just going fast in close proximity to other people, and then it kind of break up into clumps, and we had maybe like a 12-person group for a while, and then eventually it was just me and Tracy, and we would come across other people, but by that point people are pretty much going their own pace, so you're probably passing or being passed. So if you want to ride like with a group, you have to do it somewhat deliberately. Otherwise, you could just be out there kind of alone.
So pretty quickly.
Yeah.
After like 60.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then at the aid, like the popular like aid spots, you'll
bunches up again.
find more clumps.
Yeah, I think the first half of the day, I would mostly like see people, and then from like mile 100 and something ish onwards, it was like kind of few and far between. I was really surprised to run into anyone in the last like 40 miles. Someone like bombed down a hill past me, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, spent a lot of it alone.
Yeah, I just remember being after the first like 20-30 miles is being by myself. I'm slow though.
All right, I know there's a lot of questions. We're gonna take one more really quickly because then we're gonna keep moving on and being respectful. I saw your head jumping over there. Yeah.
Just a kind of like a lighter one. Are you guys listening to music or podcasts or nothing at all? Like, how are you keeping your like kind of mind engaged? I know you talked about the little mental games, but anything else that you're doing?
I brought headphones, but I didn't use them. I was, I don't know, content just like letting my mind wander. I didn't get bored, I don't think. Like, Tracy and I would talk sometimes, but there's only so much you can talk about for like 15 hours. So, and like we were like in a pace line a lot of the time. So it was just a lot of like thinking about whatever.
It's nice to have the option.
Yes.
You know, if you think you might want music or a podcast or something, I would say bring it. But you know, at the beginning, your adrenaline's been going to be going, and you know, you're going to be talking to a lot of people and working in groups, and then yeah, after that, it might be nice.
No, go ahead.
For me, I also brought headphones and I did end up using them, but only at the last like 60 miles. Most of the time, I don't know, kind of my approach to like flying on planes is like if I can kind of get by without consuming stuff, like cool, whatever. And then like when I feel like I need to, I will. So for me, it was like kind of just a distraction, like pumping like metal in my ears to try and remind myself that like I should keep my legs moving. Yeah, but it was really just music for me, not like podcasts or anything. And I think for me also, like by the end of the day, I just had like no social energy. Like I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to like have to hear them say anything. I mean, there wasn't really anyone around, but still. But still, I was like, I just want to do my own thing, and that like felt like I think like even if I wasn't listening to music, like having headphones in felt like more, I was just like me, doing my own thing. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I brought headphones, but I've never used them.
I know there are more questions, but we want to be respectful of the time and also get to the support side of things as well. So I want to give a huge round of applause for these folks and sharing their knowledge and time. We're actually going to do a quick little chair swap really quickly. We're going to have these folks jump up there, and then Jenny is going to join me, and we're going to go through the support side of things.
Jeremy, can you sit here because I will gloves you?
Yes. No problem. Do you want to sit all the way up there? Yeah. Oh, well, they've already heard who I am, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jenny. I use they and she pronouns. I'm on bonesaw, and I supported Anthony last year at the dam.
And I don't think I went over it when we first got here, but I've ridden the dam twice, and this will be my 4th or 5th year supporting it. And we wanted to kind of split the time tonight, not only talking about riding it, but also talking about supporting it. From riding it and supporting it, I personally believe that supporting the dam is harder than riding it. It is a game of hurry up and wait. It's a marathon of driving across the state, making sure that you have all the things in place and ready to go, and then hanging out at some random gravel intersection in the middle of the state for 4 hours while you're waiting on your person to show up. And it's a flurry of activity for however long, and then you just start driving to the next point. So we really wanted to go through a couple different pieces with that. It's going to be similar format to the last one, where we've got a couple things we want to make sure that we're going to touch on, and then we're just going to open it up for questions from there. So one of the biggest and most important pieces about supporting someone, not only for the dam, but for a lot of the longer endurance gravel things, is making a plan with them. Sitting down, having a conversation. And it's a little bit more than just figuring out the logistics, figuring out what they want to eat. But like, what were some of the most important questions that you think you made plans with Anthony, the person that you supported last year, when y'all were chatting to get ready for it?
This was my time to shine. I love taking care of people. And so you just have to be hyper vigilant for what their needs are, and you have to set up a plan in terms of knowing what they had the last time you saw them, and knowing what they currently have on their bike and how long it's been, and how many calories they have or have not consumed, and how many calories they need to consume before they can leave. And finding the space and the grace to do that in a way that is helpful and supportive, but also assertive, is a fine line, but it's important. And yeah.
Yeah, it's super important. Not only is it the logistical things around like, what does the person want to eat at the checkpoint? How long do they want to be at the checkpoint? As both a rider and a support person, I've done things like setting a timer on my phone or having my support person set a timer as I show up to a checkpoint and told them 20 minutes. That's all I want to be here for. And at the end of 20 minutes when the phone goes off, just shove me onto my bike and keep me going. Because if I stay here longer than that, I'm not going to be able to keep moving as fast. But also knowing what is that person emotional needs in the moment. It is a very emotional day. People are out of their minds by mile 150 and they're not going to be making decisions anymore. You're going to need to tell them what to do. What does it look like when a rider is highly emotional? Does that mean that they need time for themselves? Or does that mean that they need to be comforted and they want someone right there with you? It's easier to have those conversations before the start of the dam at midnight than trying to figure it out in the moment. So it's really important questions to have down because it'll get to the point where someone doesn't know what they're feeling anymore. And they don't know whether they want to continue or not, and they might look to you as a support person to make that decision for them or to get that input as well. So really important questions. The other one is, what should you say to a rider that tells you that they want to quit? Because it could happen. What was Anthony's? Did you talk with Anthony about that? Well, Anthony wasn't going to quit. But
Anthony wanted to quit on multiple times, and we had the conversation before that unless it was like something physical that he wasn't allowed to quit. And I'm a pusher. But I'm also like very good at caretaking and knowing that like you have the tools that you need in order to succeed. We love you, we believe in you. Let's give you everything that you need that we can in the time that we have, and let's send you on your way. If you want to talk in 10 miles or if like something happens, then that happens, but let's keep going and see what happens. And if it's not something physically detrimental, or at least that was our understanding, then it was like, you're going to keep going. And again, like having those conversations, you know, like you don't go into the dam thinking, well, you know, that you're going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore, but like, why don't you want to do this anymore? What do you want me to say in that moment? How would you treat yourself, you know, in that moment? Is conversations that you need to have with yourself and with your person who's going to support you beforehand, because you're going to get there.
I've had a mix of experience with riders, everything from if I tell you that I want to quit, I want you to ask me if I'm proud of the work that I put in today, was one, all the way to I'm going to tell you I want to quit and I actually don't want to, so unless there's a physical concern, push me to keep going. I would say for a lot of folks that's usually kind of a blanket answer, is that they want that mental aggressive support in order to continue riding, but also knowing that you might have to make a call for them if there's a physical concern or a mental health concern as well. It gets really hot. Hopefully it doesn't, but it typically gets pretty hot during the dam. I'd say every single year that I've been on the course, I have found at least 3 riders that are riding backwards and argued with me that they were riding it correctly. So different things like that. Knowing when to tell your rider that they actually need to stay at the checkpoint longer in order to drink more water and sit in the shade for an extra 10 minutes. It is those kind of things that you're going to have to tell them to do it. They might not be willing to do it. A couple years ago, just as another anecdote, I had a conversation with a friend of mine that absolutely told me that they could not eat. They could not eat, they weren't going to eat. We were at mile 186, they were finishing and they couldn't eat. And I pretty much told them, I don't care if you can't eat, I want to see you eat food, and if you throw it up in my shoes, that's fine, but I need to see you eat food and put it in your stomach before you leave. And then you're good to go. I don't care what you do after that, but just eat food here. So it's extreme situations, but I would say at least every single year there's something that comes up like that, because for a lot of folks, this is one of the biggest distances they've ridden. It's one of the longest days on a bike for a lot of people. So really having those plans in place. And then on the lighter side of things, what was the planning that you made when it came to like logistical and food and checkpoints? Did you know what to do, or did Anthony just tell you in the moment?
To be honest, Anthony told me what Anthony's favorite foods were, and I procured those things. And I made sure that those things happened. And I did a little bit of, science teacher math, and I was like, okay, calories consumed, you need to eat at least 3 of these tortillas with honey and peanut butter, and like, let's get the Theragun and fucking crushing it, bud, before you can leave. And it doesn't have to be super calculated, you know what I mean? You don't have to be some pro athlete to do this thing, it's like, you can crush it and just know what you like and have people that love and support you there, and you crush it.
Yeah, and I've had it for a mix where some of the riders just said, I have an entire bag of food and I don't know what's in there, so just put all of it on the table and I'll figure out what I want to eat when I get to the checkpoint. So totally a mix. And again, there's no right or wrong answer with this. It is going to depend on what works for the rider. And also with all of this talk about making a plan, be ready to throw 100% of that plan out the window and just figure it out in the moment. Stomachs change, emotions change, what people want to eat changes. Equipment failures unfortunately happen. So being ready to be super flexible, really adaptable, and saying like, okay, this food isn't working anymore, so you're going to get them going, and in between the next 2 checkpoints, you have to find a grocery store or a gas station to purchase something new. Or maybe your rider's food planning is that they're going to eat McDonald's and Subway and Arby's. That was the first year of Bonesaw, that was our food planning. And so you have to look and see where there's a McDonald's and an Arby's and a Subway all along the course. I watched my friend consume like $30 worth of McDonald's that year. And he's the only person in Bonesaw that's got a back-to-back finish on the dam. He finished it 2 years in a row. That's crazy.
Yeah, know where the grocery stores are if you need to get like certain items. Like my partner who's going to be supporting me knows exactly where like the Walmarts are, because it's very scattered out there, to be like, if I want Southwest Dots and we only have Honey Dijon, like you got to know where the things are so that you can get, I'll be fine, but you know what I mean. And then like, the dirt is a very real thing, so we have like a whole separate little like tub of water and washcloths just to wipe the filth off. Makes a world of difference if you have that in your support crew, where you can just feel like a new person and just use that washcloth to like get things off and like just cool yourself down. Ice socks, if it's gonna be a hot year, get like pantyhose and put ice inside of pantyhose and just stick that in your back or stick that in your chest, and that will last you a few hours and that will keep your core body temperature down a lot. But just being hyper vigilant of what you're going to be facing.
And on the topic of like finding resources, if you're planning on knowing like I have to pick up food, or I'm planning on grabbing Casey's breakfast pizza, I'll just keep on sharing the Bonesaw secrets. Casey's breakfast pizza for checkpoint 2, which if you're out there, I'll have pizza hand-ups. Look at what times they're open. Thankfully, this is Western Minnesota, so a lot of places open at 5 in the morning. But a lot of places close at 8 o'clock or 7 p.m. if you're driving out there Friday night. So it's really important to not only look around the area, but kind of look at the open times for the businesses in the different zones that you're wanting to pick up, so you know that. And also make sure that you're not driving on the course at any time, that you can get in and out of where your checkpoint's going to be with your rider. And if you're going to access other stores, that you're not driving on the course at all.
Yeah, and don't expect to sleep. If you're supporting, you're not sleeping for 24 hours either. You are committed to supporting that rider, or at least I was. And like if anything goes wrong, like you have to be there, and you can't be on the course, you can't get in the way of the riders. So have a contingency plan on how to get to your person and not get in the way of the other riders. And hopefully that doesn't have to happen, but like don't plan on sleeping, because it's a long day or two.
You got time to close your eyes. Again, well, I'll just pick on Steph. Steph, so how long did you sleep in the Quick Trip parking lot last year? I think it was an hour and a half. Yeah.
Well, one, I was waiting for my Casey's breakfast pizza.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So that was 30 minutes. I jumped in the car for a second to make it van.
Yep.
And then towards the end of the day, I had to have an emergency nap at Quick Trip, and I might have gotten like 45
Yep, it's super important. So like all of this information about taking care of the rider, but also make sure that you have a plan for yourself. Make sure that you have food for the rider, but also what are you gonna eat? So making sure on that and checking through all the way so that you are meeting the needs of yourself so that you can continue to support that person all the way to the finish line. You as the support person is gonna have the largest impact in whether that rider is gonna finish the event or not that day. So it's a huge part of it. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because I just remembered one of the other things.
You guys project a little bit. We've got like a lot of people back here. This whole section can't really hear anything.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. There's also spaces available right down here. There's 3 open chairs and a huge ledge that people can sit on as well.
Lots of space.
Yep. The other piece to this that I would mention when we're talking about finding support pieces is that if anyone hasn't been to Gary, South Dakota before, it's a very quaint town. There's not a gas station in Gary. There's 2 bars, there's the Buffalo Ridge Event Center, there's a bunch of houses and a bunch of farms, and that's about it. So Granite Falls, Minnesota, on your way out there, if you're coming from the Twin Cities, is the last biggest city that's gonna have, I think there's a CVS there, there's a grocery store I've stopped at before, there's a Casey's. Fill up your gas tank in Granite Falls is kind of the pro tip. There's a town just south of Gary called Canby. It's about 20 minutes south of Gary. That's the closest town to Gary, South Dakota that's got a gas station open. So you don't want to be at a spot where it's midnight, your rider just took off, you're just thinking about getting to the first checkpoint, and now you've got a quarter tank, and you got to figure out what gas station is open. A lot of gas stations out there do not have 24/7 pumps either. Some of them, the gas station has to be open for it. So just some of those important ones to look through kind of as you're planning those resources and different things that way. And then the other thing we wanted to touch on is equipment. What things did you have in your vehicle that you felt like made the difference for support?
Well, I rolled with the Bonesaw crew, so we had shade, we had chairs, we had places to put your feet up, bubble gun, yeah, places to put your feet up I think is big. Shade for sure, cold towels, a table, definitely a table to have everything set out and ready to go. I mean, obviously like a bike pump and like your full set of like tools and everything. A bike stand is great if you have it. Chain lube for sure. Yeah.
Those are the good ones. Garbage bag, like Jenny mentioned, having like clean water and washcloths in order for the rider and yourself to wash off. One of the Bonesaw riders is very particular to cucumber body wipes as well. So if you want to get fancy with it, but making sure that you've got a place that you're going to take trash and pack out with you and be respectful of the land that way. And then like whatever it means for you for relaxation, you're probably not going to be able to sleep. You might for a little bit, but even just being able to close your eyes, if that's a bed in the back of the vehicle, if it's a cot to set up on the side of the road, if it's a hammock, whatever that means. But again, just making sure that you're also bringing pieces for yourself to kind of last all the way through the entire day. I think that's the important things. Yeah. I think we covered the important things that we wanted to go over tonight. Obviously, it's not a fully comprehensive thing, but we'll open it up for questions as well. Yep.
If you're not familiar with the route, how do you pick your checkpoints? Distance aside, like how do you actually know where?
That's a good one. So I will look at the route file on Ride with GPS, and I'll use Google Maps, and I'll use Street View's pretty much not available for any of it, but I'll use the aerial view. And it's looking for checkpoints that are within the mileage that the rider wants to stop at that are easy to get in and out of. I really like right-hand or left-hand turns because I know I can come into it in a vehicle on one side that we're not going to be in the way of the entire group of people that's coming through, and that I can get out of there pretty easily as well. So looking for turns that way, and then otherwise largely it's just looking at what mileage does that rider want to stop at, because everyone's different.
On the file, I see there's like 4 stops, 85, 150. Are those just arbitrary checkpoints?
So those ones are natural checkpoints that people can take in addition. Mile 85 is a BP gas station in Morton.
Okay.
155 is Henderson, Minnesota. It's an ice cream shop, BP gas station. I forgot what else is there.
You know, you had some relief in those.
Yep.
Outside of your routines.
Yep. And that doesn't count as your checkpoint. So the rider can stop at the BP and then stop and see you at a checkpoint later on or beforehand as well. For Bonesaw, historically, we've ran checkpoints splitting the distance evenly. So mile 60, mile 120, mile 180, those are the 3 spots that we stop right in there as well.
Is it required 3 stops, or is it minimum?
Maximum of 3.
Okay.
What time does the gas station in Morton open?
That one's a 2-4. It might not be a 2-4. I don't know. Does anyone here know? Is it a 24/7 at the BP Morton? I've been there at 4 in the morning before and it's open.
They open at like 10 a.m.
No, it's Western Minnesota. People eat breakfast at 4 in the morning. Yeah, I've been there as a rider. I've been there at 4:30 in the morning, and there was active residents sitting down and eating breakfast, and they were fully open. So it'll for sure be open. Yep.
Yeah, just a point of clarification, you can check in 3 times with your crew?
Yes.
Independent of all the other natural
Yes.
stops?
Yes.
So potentially you can have 6 or 7 stops?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
There is also like neighbors on the course, like just families out with a cooler and like a tent just hanging out in their front yard. There's a guy who rents a porta potty at mile 140 who's my favorite human being in the world.
Not good to plan for, but
No,
good to
don't
be
plan for
surprised
it,
with.
but it's a really good
Yeah.
surprise.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you describe what the caravan of support vehicles looks like when it leaves Gary at midnight?
Oh, it's just headlights.
Okay.
It's just headlights because you're just driving straight east, and then if you look to your right, you just see the column of headlights of riders that are riding the course. Yep. So once people get to Granite Falls, it kind of splits from there. Because with people deciding their own mileage, like you could take a first checkpoint at mile 120 or 200 if you wanted to, if that's what the rider wanted to do. So now that, or because it's independent and people make up their own stops, it all kind of splits up after that. Yep.
When it comes down to the bathroom, and you're on your bike for a while, and you kind of hit a spot where you need to not go number 1, and you're kind of stuck. What's
Bring a doggy bag.
doggy bag?
Bring a contingency plan. Bring a wipe. Put it in a tiny plastic baggie and leave no trace. Lots of cornfields. It's gonna be hot in there with the corn sweat, but plan a contingency plan and bring what you need in order to pack everything out. Pat?
So curious about conversations about if you think the rider should not go on, but the rider really wants to go on. If the rider's like bonked and just like not thinking about it, both for the rider's safety and because it's an open course, so like the safety of that rider's behavior as it relates to like community members of the people along the course, that kind of thing.
It's a good one. It's a good question. I would say, again, that's part of the conversation, like leading up to it, is that if your decision, if you're working with the rider and saying, I'm going to make the ultimate call for that, then even in the moment, if they don't want to, they have to be okay with that. Yeah. If it's a system where it's like, get a second opinion from another support person, whatever like feels good in the moment, but ultimately it's going to have to be that at a certain point, you just got to make a call as a support person and go from there. I speak an anecdote, so I'll share an anecdote with you, is that the last time that I attempted to ride the dam was 2019. It was very, very hot that year, and I had gone out way too fast for my ability in riding speed, and got to checkpoint 3 at mile 185, and I was completely overheated. I probably already had sun exhaustion, and got in a huge screaming match with my support person who was telling me to be done and wait, and I didn't want to, and I rolled. And I ended up passing out while riding. I like came to, clipped in the road at mile 200, and then I did quit. I did not continue riding after that. But and that was something that I just didn't take my own advice in the moment of just trust your support person and having those conversations beforehand.
Hold on.
Other questions? Yep.
2 things. 1, the BP in Morton is 24 hours.
Thank you.
2, is there anything that you brought that you kind of just threw into the car at the last minute, There just was kind of a second thought thing that ended up being really helpful, that it's not something you wouldn't usually bring to an event.
Can you explain what the bubble gun is?
I've never done the dam. I'm doing it this year. I really fucking enjoy doing hand-ups and bringing joy to people on the bike, and so I tend to bring my bubble gun everywhere. And so I have multiple bubble guns and bazooka bubble guns and pickles, and I think it's fun to like support other people and just to like bring joy in weird little different ways. And I think it makes a big difference in people's rides, whether you like notice it or not. So I don't know. I keep my bubble gun on me.
Garden sprayer to spray down the bike, knock the dust off of it, make the crankset move a little bit more smoothly than it once was. That was a big one. And then I think the other big win was like folding camp tables. It's, you know, chairs are really easy to have, but like a nice folding camp table, we've had folding tables out there before, just to be able to set up things so that the rider can see what they've all got, you're able to see what you've all got with you. Everything that way has been a big piece.
In your general experience, how is the cellular coverage along to be able to communicate if you do have a problem or get support for whatever?
Pretty rough for the first 90 miles, 85 miles. Once you get closer to Henderson, Minnesota River Valley, then it starts improving from there. By midday, it's usually pretty good all the way through. So like mile 100 to the finish is pretty solid all the way through.
Yeah, like Potts said, if you want to listen to a playlist at the beginning, you better have that downloaded for the first, what, 60 miles you said? Yeah.
Steph, go ahead.
On Eamon's question about like what did you toss in that became valuable is I've packed a rug both of the times that I've brought people across and or supported their rides, and it's just nice to be able to take your shoes off and, you know, swap your socks if you want to, or let your feet breathe for a second, and then, you know, you have like a clean space to do that. So, you know, a small floor rug. Kind of cool.
Other questions? Yep.
Maybe not for you guys as you've talked about it, but if people that have supported, have you tried to see your rider in places that you're not supporting them, or is it kind of exclusive to, hey, you're a 1, 2, 3 spot? Just curious.
It's not as strict as that. Like I mean, like I've waved at a rider and talked with them at the BP in Morton, because we had a little bit of a concern just around if they were going to continue or not. The biggest thing is just making sure that like you're not giving them food. Yeah, you're not like checking in, but yeah, just checking in with them, or like we've set up before where we've figured out an intersection to be able to just sit and shake cowbells as they roll through and then drive to the next checkpoint, something that way.
Is most of the drive, like the roads to drive on, are they mostly paved, or is it a lot of driving on gravel roads?
A lot of gravel.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Tips on keeping track of where your rider is along the course, like, you know, like Find My Friends or something, or like another way to see where they're at?
I need to send out an email, but we are going to have track leaders. So if you have a Garmin InSpot, you can use that. Or else Track Leaders also has a mobile app. That email should be coming out tomorrow or Saturday. The mobile app it can be finicky. I've heard like good reviews and bad reviews on it. So, and that does cost money though. But you can always use Find My Friends also.
Yeah. When Bonesaw goes to larger events, we use an app called Life 360 that you can add in like everyone to it, even if they don't have iPhones, that it works with Samsung as well, and that's really helpful. But again, knowing that you might not, what I like about Life 360 is it'll tell you the last time it updated, so you'll know of like, well, I haven't gotten a reading in 2 hours, so you know at this point we'll just figure it out. A lot of mental math of like, okay, they've been riding 11 miles an hour, we think they're gonna stop for 30 minutes, and then I definitely, during checkpoints and chatting with support people, of like, we start making times of like, this is when we think we're gonna expect them, and then this is the point that we get nervous, and this is the time that we're gonna start driving the course backwards to go start looking for them or figure out what we're gonna do. So just figuring out the splits that way.
Wahoos have live tracking if you have a Wahoo. But it requires cellular.
Yeah, that's the only thing is
That's
double
why I was
checking whether
asking
it's cellular
earlier.
connection or not.
So if it's a little spotty, the Wahoo syncs Bluetooth to your phone and sends updates to where you are.
I think this is probably a question for Chase. If you're doing the relay, would your team be allowed to share a tracker and track leaders?
Yeah, you guys can hand off a track leaders.
Okay.
Or in spot or whatever.
Yeah, that's like allowed. We can all share like a track leader's identity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can't drive on the course, but can you set up on the course and turn onto it?
Yeah. Yeah. What I usually like to look for when I set up checkpoints is like a spot where it's like I can get in, take a right, and then park almost immediately, and then like we'll set up a tent on the course. Honestly, that's part of the fun with support is then you get to see other riders and cheer them on and do pickle hand ups and whatever floats your boat that way. Other questions?
Are you guys allowed to support other riders besides yours if they need it?
What is the official ruling on that, Chase? It's technically no, right? To support other riders?
Oh, I mean, if you see someone in danger or like that's biking the course backwards, please help them, give them water.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be a stickler on like, you know, I got given a light one year because mine died and Trenton didn't care, so it's like, I'm not gonna enforce anything super strictly. Yeah. I want the most people to finish, try to follow the rules.
Even with the event director here, I'll say it, I'm a person that asks for forgiveness and not permission. I've handed out 4 lights every single year. I feed people pizza. I've rebuilt a rear wheel and a derailleur while on the course. Like, I personally just want to see folks get to the finish line. If it's not, by the time I'm usually there with a lot of our riders, it's not folks that are, blazing a course record by any means. I think I was waiting for my rider last year when I looked at my phone and said, finished. Crazy. And I was still in mile 110, so it's across the board. So yeah, I usually go for it. Other questions? Yep.
You guys said earlier that out of that first 85 miles, so in years past, we were so worried, like, what's been the discussion around, like, if someone needs to bail on the night, we don't have something, especially if it's like a mechanical, something like that, like, how do you determine when you have call if you
Did you try with him? No? Okay. I've told riders before where the first like 85 miles is. There is an east-west highway that's relatively close to the course, and essentially we've just established like a cutoff time and saying if you know that you can't do this, head north, get on the pavement, and then sit down. And there's going to be a time window that I'm going to start driving that paved highway and looking for people sitting on the side of the road, or just saying like, continue to attempt to find service or something that way. It's pretty spotty. It's not barren, but it's just pretty spotty. Yes,
I think with that and just some of the other conversations too, if you can create some sort of community for yourself as a supporter, that is good too. I think to have other people that you can check in, they're checking on you. Whether it's finding Joe on course so you can rebuild a wheel, or just kind of that like, yo, do you have this thing? If you have that opportunity to connect with other supporters, I would recommend it.
Other questions? Yep.
People start lining up to start.
Ooh, that's a good question.
What was it?
20 to 30 minutes before midnight usually. Yeah. For the rider start in Gary? Nope. No, they just take over the main street. So it's like 20-30 minutes. People roll up there, then kind of get in line that way.
What were your guys' ways to figure out like your sleep schedule before the dam? Like to try and not, as riders, sorry. Just what was your way to try and get yourself ready? I meant to ask that last time, but I forgot.
What is your plan for your sleep schedule?
We're gonna drive down the day before, and I'm gonna try to sleep, take some gummies, and go night-night as long as I can, and try to be as refreshed as I can to start at midnight. Yeah.
I'm not a good person to ask. Both times that I rode the dam, I worked all day Friday, and then got out of work and drove to Gary at 5:30 at night. I would say the other thing that I usually tell folks is have Friday off work if you can. Sleep as long as you can Thursday night into Friday morning, and then if you can, keep pushing your sleep schedule back the week leading up to it, knowing that from 11:30 or 11:15 p.m. on Friday to whenever you finish, you're most likely not going to be sleeping, and at least not getting good sleep. So just to prep going into that, and then once you're in Gary, get everything set. Get checked in, get whatever dinner you're eating, and then just lay down. Some people can sleep, and I'm very jealous of them. A lot of people have so many nerves that they can't sleep, but just don't move your body for as long as you can before you move your body a whole lot for a long period of time. The other thing, while we've been asking questions that I realized I didn't touch on really quickly for support staff, finish line things. As part of planning, have a conversation with your rider about what do they want at the finish line. Do they want to change right away? Is there a specific food item? Is it ice cream? Is it a root beer float? Whatever sounds really good. Make sure that if they might change that halfway through the ride. Again, food, beverage, preferences change, but really knowing of having a finish line bag almost set of people usually have been wearing a bike chamois for a long time and just want to be out of it. They don't want to be wearing cycling shoes anymore. So just basic things like that, it's great, you finished, congratulations, turn around, take your shoes off, because those are really uncomfortable, and just put these sandals on, or whatever it might mean. So having that conversation with them. Also, the finish line for the dam is directly next to the river. It is super buggy, so I would highly recommend having long sleeves and long pants with you as well. Again, unless you have tracking and you're checking with your rider, you might go to the finish line and be hanging out for a couple hours while you're waiting for your person to finish. And you can get eaten alive down there. So just make sure to have long layers with you as well. Other questions? Yep.
So the rule is that you can't drive on the course, and you kind of touched on it. You park on the course,
Yep.
set up the checkpoint, you take the right turn, that's allowed as well.
Yep, that's all right.
You take it, you put it in
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest thing is that you're not driving a mile on the course, kicking up dust for riders that have already been choking on dust the entire time, or being in their way as well, where they're going to be dealing with other traffic throughout the day already. So getting on, or if it's a certain spot where it's hey, I got to turn onto the course and get down 20 yards. It's just not that I'm planning to drive 5 miles on the course to get this very specific spot. Nothing that way.
Can you repeat that question and for anyone over here?
Yeah.
What was the question?
It was about driving on course as a support person and whether you can do it or not. And the answer is that you can if you just need to get onto the course to park your vehicle and turn a corner. Just don't plan on driving 5 miles on the course in order to get to your checkpoint, wherever that's going to be. So it's okay if you need to get onto the course and it's okay, I'm going to meet them just a little bit of the ways down. But the big thing with not driving on the course is that you're not planning to use the course as part of your route to get to a checkpoint. That you're coming in from a north-south road or something that way. Thankfully, a lot of this is farm road, so it's 1 square mile with gravel roads all across the state. So if you're looking at a checkpoint, just look for an intersection, and you can drive a mile south and hit another road and start heading east or west from there.
And you said parking on the course was okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
How much traffic is there on the course in general?
It's varied.
Cars that are pretty busy.
Middle of the afternoon, Henderson to Northfield, Cannon Falls area is usually kind of higher traffic. And then as a rider going through on the roads, Before that, it's pretty barren. Depends on harvesting season. Depends on what they're doing in the fields that day as well. You know, you'll hit a lot of farm traffic and different things that way. But as far as just outside of farm implement, it really just regular Saturday. Red Wing, there could be. It's a Saturday night. Depends on what's going on and booming downtown Red Wing. But otherwise, like, I mean, all of Gary is at Buffalo Ridge. I hope that there's live music again this year. It is a very small town. The amount of traffic's just from the dam itself. Other questions? Yep.
It's like check-in cutoff for starting line.
Chase, do you know check-in times? Do you want to come up here? I'll put you on the spot. Do you want to come up here? You can talk about the course too.
Chase Work, everybody.
If you haven't met him before, this is Chase Work, one of the event directors for the dam.
What's the question?
Check-in times.
Oh.
Rider check-in.
5 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then we're gonna do a little pre-race optional meeting at 8 p.m. for the riders.
And do you have any hints or tips you want to give about the course? Did you just go drive the course today?
No, I'm driving. I'm driving the course tomorrow. I'm gonna put together a little guide or Instagram reel on course conditions, and I'll send that out to people. So you should get that Saturday-ish. I'll probably send it out Sunday or Monday when I send out the final course. We are just planning on using the regular route, but obviously there's road construction. So if we need to make changes, there will be changes made. I know in Red Wing we have to adjust the course already.
And will you be posting anything on your website or just?
Yeah, we'll send out an email with the final course. We'll update the course on the website, and then we'll post on social media and in the Dam Riders Facebook group.
Will the existing competitive rider GPS file just be modified? Or?
Yeah, that will just be modified. So it should update on your bike computer, but again, I would double check that. Yeah.
Other questions?
Just to help that other gentleman's question, I was told it is River City Days in Red Wing on Saturday and Sunday.
Sick.
So it'll be a little bit busier than usual.
Nice. All right. Last year there was a street festival in New Prague. As I was going through, I stopped and hung out for a little bit with support, got a funnel cake. It was a good time. So yeah, little like emotional pick-me-ups, whatever that means for support staff. Other questions? We've answered them all.
Joe,
Yeah.
on typical, how many riders do you support?
That's a good question. Again, whatever like feels good for you, and as far as capacities go, chatting with Bonesaw, we always try to have one support person per rider. In the moment when you're waiting 4 hours and everyone's just kind of hanging out in the gravel somewhere, it feels a little dumb. But in the event that you have a group of 5 people that are all riding with each other, when they come in, it's making sure that they are getting all the support that that rider needs and that they're not waiting for something or something that way. The other piece to it is with vehicle and the fact that you're traveling across the state. People ride different paces change throughout the day. So like we usually roll this year, we've got a group of 10 riders on the course. If not everyone has a vehicle, we have everyone pack in like totes in the same container, because we've had to hot swap support people before of like, holy cats, your rider is just picking up the pace, you have to get in this vehicle to go so that you're going to be at the checkpoint in time before they get there. So just always making sure that when that rider gets to the agreed upon checkpoint, they have someone waiting, set up, ready to go for them. Other questions? Yep. It's pretty cold, so they were asking about the nighttime. It's pretty cold. Last year it got down to 40 degrees, like 38 to 40 degrees. As a rider, making sure that you have thermal layers with you. As a support person, making sure that you have a sweatshirt, long pants, layers with you as well. I think, yeah, folks do the across the board, whatever they're gonna feel good about for staying awake all the way through the night. I've had friends go everything from chewing coffee grounds to caffeine pills to Red Bull in the jersey pocket, hot coffee at the checkpoint, whatever that means across it.
Alternatively, sun sleeves are really good and important for when it's really hot out, and protecting yourself and being nice and cool, and throwing some cold water on your sun sleeves for your rider is really helpful and protects them from the sun.
Does the temp go down as you start, or when you're in gear, you've got a good sense at midnight? This is where
It gets colder.
well, down to 40 really sucks.
Yeah.
That's
It does.
Just be prepped for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like last year, half of our riders were wearing wool hats, wool gloves, long sleeves, a mid layer, especially after like driving out there in 80-degree day, having a 45-degree temperature shift at night while you're then like dropping into the hollows near swamps and different things that way, you feel the cold even more. Other questions?
What music should I put on my playlist? Survive 11 plus hours.
Your playlists are my playlist, Claire, so I feel like I can't answer.
I need more.
I'll share my damn playlist with you. How about that?
Metal. All metal. Is there etiquette on speakers while you're biking? Should yes, no?
I mean, I'm very much of a person that I kind of like teach their own as they go, as long as it's not like, you know, concert level volume. I don't think it matters too much. The experience before.
I would just say be conscious of sucking battery life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks y'all. So we did record this a little bit. We actually, tonight, not sure on sound quality as we were trying to pull that together at the last minute. We also recorded a clinic last year that's on the Bonesaw YouTube page. It's also, we'll post it on our socials as well. That is support specific. It's not rider specific, but we have a PowerPoint and a recorded video that is easy to hear. That's under the Bonesaw Cycling website resources too, that we'll share out on our socials after this and post the recording of this as well. But folks will be hanging out a little bit afterwards. If you did have a question and want to come up and ask that, but appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully it was helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.